Michaela and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be discussing with you my spring TBR. I made my first seasonal TBR a couple months ago, maybe it was just a month ago. I was kind of late with making a winter TBR, but that was the first time I decided to make a seasonal TBR, and what I did was make a list of books that I wanted to prioritize during that time, and I found that it worked really well for me. I still was able to read a lot of things outside of just the strictness of the TBR, which I liked. I could mood read a bit, but it gave me guidance and reminded me of like things I really wanted to be reading. I wanted to be prioritizing, but I kind of felt like lost and looking for something to read. So I found it really useful. So I decided to make a spring TBR because I liked it so much for winter, so here we are. Now realizing I actually forgot to grab the books for this, so hold on while I do that. Okay, so as always, I have my notes, so let's just get right into this spring TBR. Also, let's just take a moment to appreciate the spring color I painted for my nails this week. I'm liking them, it feels good. Also, florals for spring. Groundbreaking. So the first book on my spring TBR is actually a carryover from my winter TBR because I didn't quite get to it yet, but it is on my upcoming next to be reading list, and that is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Like I said, I didn't want to read this until I finished up reading some other series I was currently in the middle of, particularly the Six of Crows duology. I really wanted to finish that because it's a completed series, to get that off my currently reading series list before I started a new fantasy series. But now that I have read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, reading vlog will be linked somewhere for that. I will be diving into The Poppy War, so this is like top of the list priority for spring. I've been wanting to get to this since I got it for my birthday as a gift in December, so we're very much looking forward to starting this lovely series. I don't know if lovely is the right word to call this series, but I'm really excited to read it nonetheless. And I'm finally going to be getting around to it, hopefully before the end of March even, but definitely in the spring. So next up on the list is actually something that I've added recently, and that is that during the spring I want to definitely start, but maybe read even more than just the first book, in the Heroes of Olympus series by Riordan. I just finished reading The Last Olympian, which is the 5th book in Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and the 6th book of that series is coming out in the fall, and I want to try and read all of these interwoven series that include Percy before I get to that point, because I think that would be best so that I know everything and I don't get any spoilers for other series while reading the 6th book when I get to it. So I want to start the Heroes of Olympus series, with the first book being The Lost Hero. If I read more than the first book in spring, great. But again, I'm trying to keep things at an attainable level for me so I can feel accomplished. So we were just gonna say, if I read more than the first book, great job, Michaela, pat on the back, but if not, that's okay, right? Then I also put on this list, because I do, again, want to focus on getting the number of series I'm currently reading down a little bit. I want it to be closer to 10, and right now it's creeping closer to 20. I want to read Take a Hint, Dani Brown by Talia Hibbert, and maybe even also Act Your Age, Eve Brown, and read all of the Brown Sisters trilogy. I did read Get a Life, Chloe Brown, the first book in that series, for my romance reading vlog that I did back in February, and I didn't really realize it was a series when I started it. I liked the first book. I decided I would like to read the rest, and these feel like really good in-between fantasy books to read. I find the romances, they're usually quicker, they're usually shorter, they're usually fun. I thought putting those on would be an easy series to kind of complete reading while also reading other things, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. Another series that I'm now going to be focusing on, since I have finished Six of Crows duology and I have finished the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series as far up to as I can be completed, because the 6th book doesn't exist yet, I figured I should move my focus over to a new fantasy series that I want to finish, and that series is The Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. I did read Eragon in the fall, October, November maybe. I'm gonna say October, and I read the first book and then I didn't continue on the series immediately, and then I started a bunch of stuff and it got left behind, and now I don't really remember much other than the fact that I really liked Saphira the dragon. So in the spring I want to reread this first book, Eragon, and then I also want to read Eldest. I do also own the third book in the series, Brisinger. I don't own Inheritance, which is the fourth book in the quartet, but I figured 2 of these big old chunker books is enough to put on the list for spring. We can focus on Brisinger in the summer, maybe, when things are feeling, I don't know, when I just have more time, because it won't be the spring and I won't have other things on my list yet. We'll see. This mainly was inspired by the fact that Christopher Paolini did announce that there's going to be a 5th book called Murtagh, which is based off of the antagonist in this series, I believe. That will be coming out in the fall. And so hearing that kind of sparked my desire to finish reading this series, which involves starting it over again for me personally. I also like rereading, and I feel like I will enjoy this book more once I familiarize myself with this one. Again, that's now like 3 big chonking fantasy books I put on this list when you count the Poppy War as well. These are physical books that I own that I want to read. Sometimes I get so caught up in making so many Libby holds that I end up just reading digitally through the Libby app for a while, because I have so many on my shelf that I'm like panicked and I'm like, oh, this is too many, I need to read them all, and forget about my physical books that I own. And I actually prefer reading physical books, so I really want to try and focus on reading the books I actually own on my shelf in spring a little bit more. Next on my spring TBR, I have put Lost in the Moment and Found by Seanan McGuire. This is the newest book in the Wayward Children series. In January, I did read all of the Wayward Children series books that I could, which didn't include Lost in the Moment and Found because it wasn't available through Libby yet at my library. But I do have a hold on it. It came in, so I was able to put a hold in, and it should be coming in during the spring season, so I'm definitely going to be reading that. I love the Wayward Children series by Seanan McGuire, and I'm really excited to be caught up with it and to read the newest book, because usually like with series I'm like always reading backlists. Like, it's kind of exciting to actually be up to date on something like that's still coming out. Ooh, wow, look at me reading new releases. How exciting. I'm so proud of myself. So that is definitely on the list. Again, another series I can mark as up to date on. You can see the focus of the spring is the series. I need to get my series in check for what I'm reading. It's becoming a problem. It's causing me stress. So then the only other thing I put on my spring TBR is that I'm thinking I want to do another author tryout video. I did one of these back in December where I read Frederick Bachman for the first time. I picked out 2 of his books and read them to get a feeling of his writing and if he's an author that I would like to read, and that was very successful. And so I figured, you know, there's so many authors out there that I haven't read. I've kept a list of authors I want to try out, and I thought it might be fun to make another author tryout video. And I haven't yet decided on which author I want to do for that. It's between, I think it will be between Ruth Ware and Sylvia Moreno Garcia. If you have an opinion on which of those I should pick for my author tryout video, let me know, or which books of theirs I should read for the author tryout video, let me know. I think both are pretty well loved authors, and I'm excited to dive into both of them, so I don't know which I want to do first. So please give me your opinions in the comments below. I will gladly welcome somebody making decisions for me because I am a very indecisive person. That is all the books I put on my spring TBR. Again, I'm expecting to read much more than what's on this TBR, but I like to make the seasonal TBR as like guidelines of books I want to prioritize reading, so I don't just get like overwhelmed by all of the possibilities out there, and I can feel a bit more focused on the reading I want to do. So yeah, there we go. I hope this made sense. I feel like I rambled a lot and maybe I didn't make much sense. All of my explanations make sense to me, and I'm the one reading all of these things, so I guess that's all that matters. But I hope you also understand understood. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like. What is your highest priority read for spring? Let me know down below in the comment section. If you happen to like me, make sure to subscribe, or just like consider subscribing. I don't want to pressure you into it, but I would be happy to have you come back, stick around, you know, get to see me read some of these books and vlogs later on in the spring. How exciting will that be? Wow. With that, I shall leave you until the next one. I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Bye-bye.